guys, this is Yoda. In this video, we'll go over how to deal massive AoE damage as Shado-Pan Brewmaster. This is a retake. Last time I did this video, the damage meter accidentally got cut off, which is kind of the point of the video, so I decided to do a retake. So the first thing you need to know is that you need to set your flurry up before the key starts. There's a video on that on the channel, but basically you want to set it up so you have one flurry charge consumed before next goes into the wall. This time I had 2, and I decided I kind of CBA setting it up. 2 is fine. 10 is kind of despair mode. 1 is like ideal. It's easy to set up 1 anyway, so just watch the video. The other video, if you don't know how to set that up. You can also like game your deck of cards, but I didn't bother doing that this time because it's not super necessary in my opinion. So yeah, we'll play the clip. Basically, you're gonna start off by running around and spinning, crate kicking everything, and maybe you can also use Keg Smash to pull, and then once everything is grouped, you want to set up your buffs. Ideally, I would Jade Wind here, but I guess I just go straight into it. So I'm going to Blackout Kick into Stone Idol. By the way, if you have you kind of want an on-use Trinket for Shado-Pan. Stone Idol does work. It's a 1 minute 30 cooldown though, and Weapons of Order tends to be like 120-ish. So you have to like use it late, like use it on pull the first time, and then second time it's like during Weapons of Order late, and third time is like at the very end, and then you have to like wait a Weapons of Order before you use it. So it's not really ideal. Ideally you have Nether Prism, but on the first pull, Stone Idol is going to be very useful. It does also do massive damage in keys. It's like uncapped damage, and it gives you crit, so it's really nice. Anyway, so we're just going to get aggro on everything, and then pop Trinket into Weapons of Order. Now, during your Trinket window, your goal is to get as many flurry strikes off as possible, which means you're going to want to spend as much energy as possible. And while your New Zao is out, which happens to be the same duration as your Trinket roughly, I don't know why I'm not tracking the Trinket somewhere else, you want to get off as many Purifying Brews as possible. Realistically, that means 3 to 4. Actually, you can actually get up to 5, but it's kind of hard to get up to 5, which I'll explain here. You want to be Blackout Kicking Keg Smash in massive AoE. I know you can get a little bit more damage on single target by Blackout Kicking Tiger Palm, but in my opinion, that makes no sense. Like, if you look at this pull, there's like 30 mobs. Doubling my Tiger Palm damage, which is going to be like less than 1% of my damage to the Goliath, is going to be completely irrelevant. We're actually just going to play for more Purifying Brews and more Stomps. So our goal here is to dump all of our energy twice in the Trinket window, and we're going to do that using Black Ox Brew, and we also want to use at least 3 Purifying Brews. So we're going to be Blackout comboing on Keg Smash, and I also do tend to use Spinning Crane Kick on pulls of this size. I would say up to like 5 targets, you can use Tiger Palm instead, but above 5, definitely want to be using Spinning Crane Kick. So we're just going to dump energy as fast as possible. Also, we are in Lust, by the way, so you're going to want to Spinning Crank as much as possible. When Blackout Kick is up, you push Blackout Kick into Keg Smash. Then as soon as you hit 0 energy, and ideally 0 charges of Purifying Brew, like right here, that's when you push your Purifying Brew, or your Black Ox Brew. That refreshes your energy, and then insta-spend. So Black Ox Brew, and then insta-spend energy again, Spinning Crank Kick, so you never want to sit at capped energy in your cooldowns as Shado-Pan. And then spend the Purifying Charge. So that's also cooling down. So in this example, I got off 4 Purifying Brews. I think it might have been 5 actually. 4 or 5 Purifying Brews. Basically, if you use use your Black Ox Brew a little bit later, then you can like cool down it twice with Blackout Kick, Keg Smash, and you might get the 5th one in. Into my Trinket window. My Trinket is just falling off right now. So we've dumped 2-ish full energy bars. This one is still like not quite dumped yet. And we've used 4 Purifying Brews to proc Yu Zhao's Stomp. That basically the goal is to get as many uncapped hits as possible out, which is Flurry Strike, which is why we're dumping so much energy, and Stomp from New Zao. Ideally also, by the way, I kind of used these things in the improper order. Ideally, you would use New Zao before Weapons of Order, just so like all of your stuff is lining up in the Trinket window. And you'd also pot earlier than I did. If you want to play in some dungeons, it does make sense to split up Weapons of Order and New Zao. This video is just like a guide on how to do max damage possible. As you can see, basically I'm pushing like 3 buttons and my character is doing 32 million AoE damage in Lust. And that's basically it. Group everything, use your Trinket, try to dump energy as fast as possible in Black Ox Brew, and then get at least 3 to 4 Purifying Brews in the Trinket window as well. Once the Trinket is over, you can kind of relax a bit. You can like, remember, use Chi Burst, use Exploding Keg, refresh your Jade Wind, etc. You need to start playing like to not dump energy as crazily as anymore. But in your trinket window, it is very important that you just dump energy as fast as possible so that you can use Black Ox Brew and then dump energy again and just use as many flurry strikes as possible in your trinket window. Outside of Lust, it is a little bit less hectic, which we'll show in the next pull. So this is what the damage was on the first pull. As you can see, it's actually showing on the video this time. I'm basically doing a DPS's worth of damage. In the next pull, I don't have Weapons of Order quite yet, and this is going to come up late, so it's not quite as strong of a burst, but, you know, we're still going to do a lot. So group everything with Spinning Crane Kick. Then as soon as Weapons of Order is up, we are going to push it. Technically, I ideally would not be using Purifying Brews here, because I want to use it after Weapons of Order. I would just heal myself with Expel Harm, so I'd consider that a mistake. Could also use Fort Brew to stall. But one thing you will notice, I did save Black Ox Brew for Weapons of Order, and that's because you want to use like as many Flurry Strikes as possible in your Weapons of Order with the new tier set. One other note, since we're using Black Ox Brew Weapons of Order, you can try to use a Celestial Infusion on the Weapons of Order. I'm just in like, you know, a gambit where there's not really that much tank pressure. So I didn't really bother pushing this, especially in the first pull. But technically, you could become very tankly by using this before Black Ox Brew and then just using it again. You basically would be immune in your Weapons of Order. Anyway, as soon as Weapons of Order is up, we are going to send it. This is where, by the way, Nether Prism would be very sick because this trinket is not available before Weapons of Order. And when you Weapons of Order, it also instas procs like a Flurry Strike, so it would be nice to have the trinket for that. Anyway, it's just the same thing. We're going to use Purifying Brew as many times as possible and then dump energy here. You can see I hit 9 energy and Purifying Brew not up for a very long time, so this is going to be the Black Ox Brew most likely. Surely. Okay, that should have been Black Ox Brew, but I didn't push it. I think my reasoning was I kind of wanted to wait for Curstone Idol before using it, which I guess is reasonable. Anyway, as soon as I idle, it is going to be just dumping energy as fast as possible to get as many Flurry Strikes as possible in the window. Once your trinket window is over, again, you can start thinking about doing other things, such as like Rushing Jade Wind, and Chi Burst. Also, one thing to note, outside of Lust, which is this pull basically, you're not going to be able to spend that much energy. Like, you do dump energy as fast as you can, but then like there are going to be globals where you cannot spend your energy. In those globals, you want to use Chi Burst and Refreshing Jade Wind. Honestly, I should be using way more Chi Bursts after watching the video again. But yeah, that is basically the how to do massive damage as Shado-Pan. As you can see from the damage meters that are actually showing this time, I'm doing more than the Arcane Mage on the second pull, and I basically did a DPS's worth of damage on the first pull. The main goal, as I mentioned earlier, is just spend as much energy as possible in your trinket window. One thing you do need to be careful of, if you proc your Flurry Strikes twice in a row, you can mess up this number, like the number of Flurry Strikes for Wisdom of the Wall, since technically you might not have built 10 Flurry Charges before spending if you proc back to back. And that mainly happens in Weapons of Order. If you start off with this weak aura, which is, aura buff, which is Flurry Spent contributing to your next Flurry Strike, energy spent before next Flurry Strike. If this number is above 120, what can happen is you spend, and then your next global is also a spender, and then you just proc Flurry Strike 2 globals in a row, and it didn't have time to build up Flurry Charges. That could cause problems, so be careful of that, especially the very global that you push Weapons of Order. I would say like maybe do a spender and then Blackout Kick and then another spender, and you shouldn't run into issues there. All right, so that is going to be it for the short guide. Thank you all for watching. Peace out.